We're back. Woo! Before we start the show, I want to read the press release I drafted. We've already started recording. It'll only take a moment. Is that okay, Sire Rebecca?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
For immediate release. Scooby Dru, star, producer, creator, was sired by Angelus in East London in 1860. Drusilla has cut a swath through Europe and the world over for centuries, but now she is making her mark in show business. She lends her ingenuity, talents, and expertise to every aspect of Re-Vamped. She is the headliner. Minion Juliet, Sire Rebecca, and Watcher Dev assist as Dru's crew. Oh, I think that needs rewriting, Dru. It's already gone out. What? I've sent it out already. You really are a monster, in more ways than one. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's start over. We are back. Woo! We are indeed. Boop. What was that? I've been giving my sign-on lots of thought. Is that it? You've ruined it. Try again. Third time's the charm. Seriously? Never mind. We're back. Woo! We are indeed. Boop.
Thrilled to be here.
Wait. Re-Vamped listeners who have a good idea for my sign-on, write me. I'll pick one to try out. Minion Juliet, tell everyone your socials. You can correspond with me and, I guess, Scooby Dru on Twitter at Juliet Landau, on Instagram at Juliet_Landau, and on the Fans of Juliet Landau Facebook group or Juliet Landau official Facebook page. And notice, there is no minion in my handles. So I have some... Oh, you know what? The best place to correspond with us is on Patreon. Yes, that's true. So best to write your Dru sign-on ideas there, so we'll be certain to see them. It's the Re-Vamped with Scooby Dru page. The Re-Vamped with Juliet Landau page. Everyone knows what it really should be. Yes, they do. Re-Vamped with Juliet Landau on Patreon. Now, before we kick off, I have some very exciting news to share. Re-Vamped with Juliet Landau won Best Podcast at the Breakout Music and Film Awards. The really swanky ceremony was held at the London Hotel in Beverly Hills. Thank you so much, Festival Director Miriam Bovley and Festival Producer Peter John. I am so excited to have won Best Podcast Host. That's not to have been singled out. Well, what we actually won is Best Podcast. I'll be sharing some photos and videos online. Shall I jump into some behind-the-scenes info?
Yeah, I think let's get into it.
Great. So in Prophecy Girl, the master generates an earthquake. There are many ways to create an earthquake effect in movies and TV. On big-budget projects, they can shake and move sets. There's CGI visual effects. There's video editing software to add a camera shake effect to footage, and also shaking the camera itself. Sound design can add so much into this as well. The term shaky camera means handheld footage. Filmmakers use handheld shots to achieve a psychological effect, to amplify anxiety, unsteadiness. It makes the audience feel physically uncomfortable. M. Night Shyamalan does this a lot in his films. Hurt Locker is another example. It is used in almost every action and horror film. A particular style of shaky cam is designed to mimic the chaotic, unpredictable motion of an earthquake, often with longer, more intense shakes and varied patterns to convey the severity of the tremor. Essentially, it's a more specific application of the broader shaky cam technique. The camera is often mounted on a gimbal or a specially designed rig to mimic the tumultuous movement of an earthquake. The phrase shaky cam itself was coined by director Sam Raimi in 1981 on Evil Dead. However, The technique of using a handheld camera or a camera mounted on a prop has been used in film since the early 1900s. Raimi bolted a camera to a piece of lumber and had two grips run down a city block to create a shaky cam rig. Grips, by the way, are technicians who set up, operate, and maintain the rigging and equipment that supports the camera. Joel Cohen, this is an interesting fact, was an assistant editor on Evil Dead. The Cohen brothers use shaky cam in Blood Simple and in Raising Arizona. Allison Wallace was in charge of Buffy merchandising at 20th Century Fox Studios. Her husband built the pirate ship for Pirates of the Caribbean. At dinner one night, he told us about getting the call for pirates, and they basically said to him, "Do you want to build a life-sized pirate ship with all the bells and whistles? There are absolutely no budget constraints whatsoever. You can just go to town." And he said his 12-year-old self was jumping up and down, and all he could think was like, oh my God, yes, 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 this is the best job ever. In many of the scenes in Pirates of the Caribbean, real ships are seen, but for the scenes on board, it almost always was shot on set. For the complex movements and dramatic scenes, the ships were placed on these very large hydraulic gimbal systems, which allowed for controlled tilting and rolling motions. I was a pirate queen once upon a time. Really? Didn't that predate you? Yo ho ho and a pint of blood. Okay. If my life was a film, it would be rated R. Okay. All right. Thank you, Drew. In Buffy, they actually shook the camera for the 5.1, as the master calls it, and for other scenes of this nature all throughout the series. So it is time for the synopsis.
Synopsis. A brief summary or a general survey. Don't quote me, but I just love to compile, collate, posit, and then conclude. I'm summary gal. Yup, that's me.
Can I give it a go? Sure. At first it appears that the Slayer dies, but then tragedy strikes. Great-granddaddy perishes. No. Sorry, Rebecca. How about you give us the synopsis?
Well, in the season 1 finale, Buffy finds herself at the center of a prophecy which predicts the rise of the Master, the opening of the Hellmouth, and ultimately her demise. But can Giles and the gang save Buffy and the world from the apocalypse?
Yes. And that is
Yes.
perfect. All right. For the opening, we are back at the Bronze. The Bronze set was a cavernous space in the warehouse on the lot, and it translates so nicely to the screen. The slow-mo stunt with Buffy is so cool. I really love slow-mo in filmmaking. It always adds drama, it heightens the suspense, it imbues shots with emotion, it gives it a feel. This sequence reminds me very much of a Western standoff. It's very Sergio Leone. Giles reads that the Master shall rise. He doesn't read the second part aloud, but we can tell it's dire, and we surmise that it says, the Slayer shall die. The Master is humorous with his earthquake when he says, "What do you think? 5.1?" Which I referred to earlier. And anyone who lives in Los Angeles or any earthquake zone knows that a 5.1 is big. The Northridge earthquake here was 6.7, by the way. And these numbers are on the Richter scale, which was created by Charles F. Richter in 1935.
The Master has incredible comic timing. A lot of times authors or script writers can put in a great line, but unless the actor can actually pitch it correctly, it doesn't land. And time again, his is just really perfect. Even in the middle of a fight sequence or something that should be dramatic, he gives you that pause, that breathing space with his comic timing.
Yes, absolutely. Mark said it was one of the things that he relished so much about the role. And when he first got it, it was the thing that he thought was so great because he's so villainous, but he also just has this wild sense of humor. And almost every scene that he's in has a button that's hysterical. Also, the numbers of vampires are increasing. Jolly joy. Or not. We might think of that a little bit differently. Willow says that nerds are in. Buffy was part of what ushered in making that the case. The show was at the vanguard of nerd culture becoming cool and also genre becoming mainstream culture. Xander has a mash on Buffy. He'd like to be a gal sneaker. Mash? Gal sneaker? Not used anymore. I haven't heard those. Have you, Rebecca?
No, I don't think I have ever heard those.
I get a bit confused. It's hard to keep track of what's in, what's out through the centuries. He's a jive turkey. Well, you've moved forward a century, but it's still dated. A dandy? Not current. He wants Buffy as his lollipop. Right? He wants to lick her all over. Okay, I think we get the gist.
My book just came out.
I'm so excited to finally read what you've been working on, Daddy-O.
I hear it's about mental health. Mark Metcalf's memoir, Timmy, is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble now. The ebook will be available on all platforms soon.
So in the show, it's always interesting how the director has decided to frame a scene. And a perfect example of that is when Xander is getting up the nerve and he finally asks Buffy to the dance. You have these two beautiful archways framing both of them. But at the same part, they're separate. We get that there's a space. We get that there's a literal wall between the two of them, and they're not going to overcome it. It's great when you see that kind of thought being put in ahead of time that just makes a scene so much more powerful.
I love that when visually everything supports the storytelling. It's what all departments, when everything gels and comes together and everybody's working really for the emotional content of the scene, and that epitomizes it perfectly visually.
Ideally, you should be able to have the sound off and know exactly what's happening just because of the visuals.
Yes, both old world and new world technology are used. Giles researches with books, Jenny uses the internet. I really like that Willow says no to going to the dance with Xander. She's not going to be second choice. She has enough sense of herself to know that even though she likes him, she deserves better than being second fiddle. Willow has already grown a lot since the season opener.
I have always wondered why in shows like this and movies, where are the lights in the bathroom and in the locker room? Why in the middle of the day is everything so dark and mysterious? And if the bathroom is that underlit, why would you go in there?
Too spooky.
Yeah.
Especially on the Hellmouth.
Just open the door once you see and go, nope.
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 Another thing that kind of drives me nuts, and I know that it has a purpose because it's building tension and it's really important to the story, but when people don't share information and they find out about it another way, it just stacks on the disappointment. So you have Buffy finding out about the prophecy, but not in a way that would have been really helpful. And instead, it just ends up being a lot more dramatic, I think, than it could have been.
So you mean if someone keeps back something because they're afraid how the person is going to respond, it just compounds it to find it out circuitously rather than be told ahead of time where it might be less painful.
Yeah, I think it's always tricky to be the person to have the bad news. Like if you know something concerning a friend, being the messenger is never going to be a good thing. But a lot of times you're better off just ripping the Band-Aid off and saying it. By holding it back, then it becomes not only is this bad information,
But it's a betrayal.
exactly.
And Sarah is so great in the scene where she learns the prophecy. She's just absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When she says that she's 16 and she doesn't want to die, it hurts. The stakes are so high. I don't like that word. Stakes. Oh, not a stake through the heart. You okay? You look pale. Now you want to impale? No, you look fair. I'm a vampire. Uh-huh. Ergo. Drusilla. Always alabaster. Always surprised. I do like to keep you on your tippies. Sire Rebecca, do you want to talk about material that prophesied well before things came to pass?
So prophecies have been a huge part of our society going back to Nostradamus and as current as The Simpsons, where events have been predicted and pretty much happened
Yes.
as unexpectedly as written.
I do this all the time with my visions. Yes, you do, Drew.
You have literature like 1984 by George Orwell.
I have to make an admission that I read this again in Hawaii, which I think is a really weird choice for a beach book.
It's a little heavy,
but such an amazing book.
How did you find it, as opposed to your surroundings?
I saved when it started really getting dire. I was like, I have to wait and put that down and get back to it once I'm not in paradise.
Yeah, I find that, you get roped in and it's really hard to separate what you're reading from everything that's happening around you.
Yes.
But there's also Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, Parable of the Talents by Octavia Butler.
And that's written like a journal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A Song for a New Day by Sarah Pinsker and Stand on Zanzibar by John Brudner, which I actually have just started.
Ooh, and it's a sci-fi novel about overpopulation, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Which, all of these pieces are dealing with issues that we're constantly facing. And it's interesting to see what works and what doesn't work according to these books. And even movies like Contagion, seeing that well before COVID outbreak, and then seeing how much of our lives kind of followed along with that script.
I do this all the time with my visions, as I said. Yes, you do, Drew.
Well, if you get a vision of any lotto numbers, I would greatly appreciate you passing that on.
Okay.
So from reading all this and knowing all this, do you think that knowing the future, we have the ability to change it, or are we destined to complete it? By Buffy knowing about the prophecy and walking into it, was that always part of the plan, her being able to survive it, or was that just how things ended up changing because of the people that had her back?
I know I tried to change it. That's an interesting question in regards to Buffy. I think she finds her true path. Sadly, I think we humans don't always make the best choices as a species. To quote Voltaire, history does not repeat itself. Humans do. You can say that again. To quote Voltaire, I meant figuratively.
Sorry, that was really funny.
Yes. The gang are all reflecting on their plight. Willow is at home pondering. Xander is at home listening to country music, wallowing.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's listening to I Fall to Pieces. This song is used in so many horror films, and it is perfect soundtrack.
It is Patsy Cline. It's such a great song anyway, but it's a perfect song in horror films and also for when he's depressed and completely beside himself. Buffy is paging through her photo album, seeing what her life has been and what it will amount to if she dies. The Scoobies are all breaking down. Giles is heartbroken.
So there's this rejection domino effect that starts the moment that Xander is rejected by Buffy. And then we see him go to Willow and try to use her as a backup for the evening, and she rejects him. And then when he's home and people need him, he hangs up the phone. He doesn't want to be there, so he's rejecting everybody else. And so just like one after the other, what starts out as seemingly light asking about a dance, and in the end is everybody needing to get together to save someone's life, you never know how the trickle-down effect of a rejection will go.
Oh, I love that. That's actually so well observed. Joyce thinks that Buffy's upset about not being asked by the right person to the spring fling, but Buffy is grappling with so much more. She's facing her own mortality at 16. Joyce, however, gives her the clue. She thinks it's advice for the dance, but it is sage advice that saves Buffy. Do your own thing. Be your own person. Even if written like the prophecy, or in life, when other people, in essence, write your destiny by telling you what you can or what you can't do, who you're supposed to be, you can decide to write your own story. You have agency. You have power. You can make your own playbook. It made me warm and fuzzy to see the buffet of Cordelia's date Kevin and his friends. That is just wrong on so many levels. On the TV in that sequence, the Three Little Pigs plays with a blood-stained hand mark. The big bad wolf is going to get in. The big bad master is going to get out. He will huff and puff, fulfill the foretelling, and uncork the hellmouth. Yes, Giles and Jenny quote the Bible verse, Isaiah 11:6. The wolf shall live with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid. The wolf again. The predator is among the prey. The lamb is caught in the blackberry patch. Giles figures out that the anointed one is a child, and then Buffy takes a huge step and decides to accept her destiny. Re-Vamped with Scooby Dru is my destiny. That's not the name. But no. Giles gets knocked out again, but this time it is by Buffy. She says something that will get a subtle reference in the gift. Spoiler alert. Yes. Her prom look is so iconic. The feminine white dress and the updo with the rocking jacket and crossbow. It's really full of contradictions. It's soft and strong. It's warrior Buffy. In 2020, Sarah posted a picture of herself wearing the dress on social media, along with a leather jacket on top. Although, a fact that many people may not know, the original jacket was pleather, not leather, pleather. Her caption was, all dressed up and nowhere to go. I say we party, hashtag safe at home, hashtag prophecy girl. When Xander says, Locutus of Borg, this is a reference to what? Do you know, Sire Rebecca?
No, I don't.
It is Star Trek The Next Generation. Yeah. Do you know what it means, by any chance? In Latin, it means, he who has spoken. I fancy his smooth head. That Patrick Stewart. All right. Buffy dreamt about the Master's lair in nightmares, but she has not actually been there till now. It's an interesting scene when Xander asks Angel to act like a person. Awful advice. Xander's love of Buffy drives him. He's driven to do the right thing and is lobbying for Angel to do so as well. Atrocious guidance. He motivates Angel. Appalling. Where is the ratings board when you need them? Not a perspective we share, right, Sire Rebecca?
No.
No. The Master says that Buffy is the lamb, and we're back to similar imagery from Isaiah 11:6. Run and catch. Run and catch. The lamb is caught in the blackberry patch. The Master chokes Buffy just like he did in the Nightmares episode. Her worst fear is being realized. In the lair, green lighting gels are used, which is different from the blue gels that are normally used both in the lair and in the show in general. It's definitely a departure. Michael Gershman, the cinematographer, told me that he wanted to elicit a sickly feeling. Sarah has been questioning her own power. She's operating from a state of weakness. Her battery is low, if you will. When all the vampires come out in the parking lot, it reminds me of The Walking Dead. Vampires come out at night when you turn out the light. Okay, the close-ups on Sarah and Mark are what we call ECU, extreme close-ups, very tight. They are powerful. Close-ups are what make TV and film so different from stage. You get right into a character's eyes. It is what makes the medium so persuasive.
It really is. And in that close-up, you get to see all of the detail of the master's makeup. And it really, with the lighting, you get this truly dramatic character. It's a beautiful moment to get to see that much work.
Yes, all of the detail, all of the intricacies. And cutting between the two close-ups, it really is Beauty and the Beast. One of these ECUs is in the titles. The master is very seductive as he's doing the unthinkable. Evil people like to leave their mark. They like to bind their victims in a sick way. This scene epitomizes that. The master is pure evil. He's using Buffy for his needs. She's just a vessel and a thing to use. The master hypnotizes Buffy. He has her in his thrall. Drew, can you say it? Spoiler alert. In Buffy vs. Dracula, the first episode of season 5, Dracula put Xander in his thrall, and Drusilla, you use hypnotism on Kendra. I do indeed. Counsel Kerri brought up a good point. The hypnotism is different with the master than some of the other instances. Xander is under Dracula's thrall even when he isn't near him. And when you hypnotize Giles, it's more like a spell. He thinks you're someone else. The techno-pagan. Yes, I love reminiscing. Thee in my eyes. Thee in me, minion Juliet. Drew, don't do that. Maybe we should get your nails clipped. Oh. Drew, take a time out. Only if you leave off about my nails. Deal. Deal. The way Buffy falls in the water is just awful. She's been discarded. The master was so focused on her, and now she served her purpose, and he treats her like refuse. He's in black, personifying evil. She's in white, portraying good and innocent. When he takes off her jacket, he strips her of her warrior garb, and she's left in her sheath.
Yeah, seeing her in that dress, it's literally the sacrificial virgin heading to offer herself up in a way. But we get to see her spin that around. And it is so satisfying watching someone doing stunts in a dress, because I think that automatically we associate fighting with a certain look and more specifically pants. But to see that she can literally wear anything and fight anyone, it's empowering as a woman to see.
Yes. I think one of the reasons they did have the jacket was to hide some of the padding for some of the fight sequences in the beginning. And so that's one of the reasons they had the jacket on top. I love your point about that, because there is such a vulnerability to her in just the simple sheath dress, and seeing her kick ass in that is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Xander is the one who has to be continued. And now we're going to reveal our next contenders for the Battle of the Uber Buffy fans, the ultimate trivia contest. Drum roll, please.
My name is Aiden Petola. I'm from Ishbury, Michigan. I weigh in at about 80 watch-throughs of Buffy.
I'm Hannah. I am from Oxnard, California, so I'm not far from the Hellmouth at all. I'm a huge Buffy fan. I've probably seen it 50 times through, maybe a little bit more. I've been watching it since I was 12.
The demand has been overwhelming. All slots are now filled, but we will be announcing 2 contenders each week till everyone is announced.
Let's get ready to Buffy!
This summer, the Hellmouth is opening. Buffy fans from around the world are heading to Sunnydale High, June 14 and 15 for HellmouthCon. Spend time with me, many actors and creators from the show, recreate your favorite characters in cosplay, get autographs, go to panels, do photo ops, and hang out at the actual Sunnydale High School location, Torrance High School in Los Angeles. Photo ops take place using the school's actual locations as a backdrop. There's a limit on attendance, so stake your claim. before spots. Door to dust. Tickets at fandomcharities.org. I'll be there. Come join the fun. Revamped Ease, please correspond with me on Twitter at Juliet Landau or on Instagram at Juliet_Landau and on the Fans of Juliet Landau Facebook group or Juliet Landau official Facebook page. You can also join up with all our Revamptees on Patreon. There are all kinds of tiers and really exciting stuff. Our Patreon peeps to be read in the credits: Dave Hall, Timothy Kendall, Danielle Harbour, Louise Brennan, and Brandon Key. It makes all the difference because we cannot keep making the show without you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week when we do it again. Do it again. Until next time, rewatch, revamp, reinvent, and be remarkable you.